G'day colleagues, welcome back to Impact Ed. We're really happy with the support that you've given us. Thank you very much. We're up to lucky episode 13.
And it's actually episode 11 that's still in the can and won't get out. But anyway, episode 13. We are taking a deep dive into every student known, valued and cared for. And when we started this, Steve, we said we would do 4 separate episodes around that theme. And those were around attendance and suspension, which we've already spoken about. We have an episode coming up around the Tell Them From Me survey and analysing that. But today, we're going to talk deeply about the wellbeing framework for schools. And we've got some requests already for this one, so we better get it right, even though it's episode 13.
Okay, let's have a look at the tools that we've got available, James. Sticking with our process that supports the SEER initiative.
Looking inward, looking outward, looking forward.
Yep. Today is unusual because we're really going to combine looking inward and to an extent looking outward.
Okay.
We're going to ask schools to go in and make judgments against themselves. The looking outward component is that we're referencing it against quality materials. So this first one that we're going to use was developed under the old Lake Macquarie Networks. It was an initiative that Louise Gallagher and I kicked off with Kylie Walsh, and it was our aspirant principals, the team that we got together to work on this, and we guided them through the process. We had some great people. Tim Lewis, now one of your principals.
Yep.
Trinity Hook out at Nords Wharf, who's just a principal in waiting, as well as others. But the quality of this is exceptional. So it's broken down by the domains and elements. There are 3 indicators in each. Schools have the option of under either developing, delivering or excelling. And to me, I think of delivering as we're compliant, we're pretty good. Excelling's great. And developing means we're not there yet, and that's something we need to fix.
So just to clarify, so the elements here refer to the wellbeing framework for schools.
That's exactly what we're comparing it to. And so schools might put evidence in each of the 3 columns. At the end, they make an on-balance judgment and click the radio button for the one that they think that best describes where they're at. Now, this is, to use department speak, an inward-facing document. Mm-hmm. So the principal, the team that are working on this don't need to be worried about where they make their judgment, but at the end of it, they're going to have a look and see which are our big leverage points, particularly if we're in developing. Is that a risk point for us and our students? But which are the key leverage points that are going to make the biggest differences to students? So we've got the teaching and learning, behaviour, discipline and character education, learning and support, effective leadership and school planning. Now, we've only just grabbed little snippets out there. There is quite a bit in the wellbeing framework to compare yourself to, and whoever's doing this process will need to be given enough time to work through it. Earlier this year, the department launched an evaluation tool which is comparing wellbeing with the school excellence framework. And basically what this document does is it calls out key areas from the CEF, but also the wellbeing framework. Down at the bottom section, as you can see, it gives some suggested sources of evidence, and basically schools go through and they map and see what evidence they've got that might allow them to plot in between the two. Now, again, this is matched against the domains, elements and themes within the CEF and the domains, elements and themes within the wellbeing framework.
So this is one you'd probably use now, but you'd also keep in your back pocket for next time you do external validation.
Yes. To be quite honest, if I was the principal, wellbeing is such a huge component, and trying to get your organisational system head around it, I would do both evaluation processes, and at the end I would then be looking to use those to inform either a QDAI to go and seek secondary source of data, or alternatively, if it's quite apparent, then start to come up with a theory of action around which are the ones we're going to target, why, and what do we hope to achieve.
So is this going to be pretty straightforward to start at the beginning and just walk through?
I think so, James, yes. And there is one argument to say we have the CEF as our entire evaluation, but I think this just allows us to hone in a much deeper way. As you know, we've got the Scout data that's available that looks at areas that we've already covered off, but this will just allow us to go straight to that deeper dive that will confirm that the school knows those key leverage points where they can really make a difference. Because to me, the wellbeing framework is really about genuine engagement for students.
We spoke in the last episode about a logic model. You know, in other words, what we do and how that ends up as being part of the impact. There's a real logic attached to student wellbeing, and that is essentially we want improved outcomes for all students. The wellbeing sits there. It's actually a barrier to academic achievement if it's not right.
For whom the bell tolls.
Yeah.
And look, it absolutely is. If we don't have it right, we know that the hierarchy of thinking, if students aren't feeling safe, happy and engaged at school, then our best efforts to instruct them are going to fall on deaf ears.
Sure. Okay, so we've got these two tools. Where to next?
Okay, well, the first thing is the resources are available and they should be able to be downloaded from our Google Drive for anybody who is on our page. If anybody has a problem, they can email either of us and we will try and work out why there's a problem, but email you directly. What we would suggest is that schools have a look at both tools, decide whether they want to use either or both, and then once they've done that, we've got one more to go first in Every Child Known, Valued and Cared For. You're going to take us through a deep look at Tell Them From Me.
Yep.
Then we're going to come back and we're going to synthesise the 4 components: attendance, suspension, the wellbeing framework, Tell Them From Me, and we're going to bring that in to a series of actions that the schools can consider going forward.
Yeah, and make no mistake, this is a big, big ticket item for all schools, which is why we've broken it up into those 4 areas. So it's actually going to translate to 5 videos because we're making a special one just for bringing it all together at the end.
And James, I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to throw an extra one in. We've had the release of the disability statement. Inclusion statement, and there's going to be an inclusion policy. We've been doing a bit of pre-work with the Disability Implementation Strategy team on developing a matrix, and I think whilst it's a particular set of students, I think it would be remiss of us not to include that, so we'll try and work that in the next week or so as well.
Sure.
Just waiting on some documents to be finalised. So James, our next episode...
I think we're going to talk a little bit about focus groups, so some practical tools next time.
Yep, great, another of our how-tos. All right.
Peace out.
I'm done. You've got it.